Hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation about communication practices, module structure, and lesson design. So this is going to be a guide to you through the systematic structure of our module and demonstrate the three-system approach of lesson design. So this structure is prepared by Dr. Asma Khattala at the Department of English Language and Literature at Mohammed Lamin Debaghi Institute 2, University, Algeria. So this presentation constitutes the following contents: the module introduction and overview, and then we talk about the 4-unit module structure, and then we tackle the systematic lesson structure, which is based on a 3-system approach, and we also tackle the consistent learning excellence through this structure, and ended up with the final examination structure information. So the focus of the module is to systematically develop intercultural communicative competence through these 14 sessions occurring in the first semester. So the students attending the module are master students in both second-year master students in both specialties. So we will go through progressive skill building through theoretical foundations first, verbal non-verbal communication analysis, and ending up with practical application. So the module employs a structured approach to intercultural communicative development, integrating both theoretical knowledge with practical application to the learned knowledge. So we have 4 units in this module. The first unit is about foundations of culture. Second unit is about verbal communication. Then Unit 3, nonverbal communication. And finally, Unit 4, which is cultural adaptation. So the module follows a deliberate progression through the 4 interconnected units where each unit provides the basis for understanding the next unit better. So Unit 1 is about foundations of culture. So here learners will have 5 sessions. First session is about the nature of culture, definitions and framework. Second one is about culture and language interconnectedness. The third session is about cultural identity formation. The fourth unit is about cultural value system and dimensions, which is basically little c cultural aspects. And the last session in this unit is about impact of culture on communication. So these are foundational sessions that establish a theoretical base necessary for advanced learning in subsequent units. So Unit 2 is about verbal communication. So here we will learn about theoretical frameworks related to verbal communication, like high context versus low context communication patterns, the cultural discourse structure and conventions, the verbal cultural discourse. And then we have also some practical applications like scenarios, case studies, critical incidents to practice the learned information. So these 2 sessions, students will learn or will examine how verbal communication varies cross cultures and will understand how to develop strategies for effective cross-cultural dialogue. Now, Unit 3 is about non-verbal contextual elements that occur in intercultural communicative situations. Specific focus will be on the body language, temporal patterns, spatial communication like the proximes, and then cultural context like other environmental, situational, and relational factors that influence communication. So these sessions expand the communication analysis beyond words to include the critical nonverbal and contextual elements that often determine the success and influence greatly the success of intercultural interactions. The last unit is about cultural adaptation and awareness. So students here will know more about culture shock and culture shock navigation, successful navigation. They will learn how to adapt to the different intercultural communicative situations. They will develop cultural self-awareness. They will learn how to develop cultural self-awareness and intercultural competence building through personal adjustments, personal customization to their own communicative patterns, and they will also apply the learned knowledge based on many scenarios, especially professional scenarios. So the final unit bridges the theoretical knowledge with professional application, preparing students for real-world academic and professional environments. So now let's talk about a little bit about how lessons are structured in this module. So lessons are all the lessons are structured based on a specific pattern that follows three systems or a three-system approach, starting by the first approach or the first system, which is the entry system. So here, the purpose of this system is to have students to know the learning objectives clearly and the expectations from them. There is also a small prerequisite assessment to assess their knowledge before taking the lesson. Usually, this is like a quiz containing three questions or so, like multiple choice quiz. Of course, here in this entry system, we establish the session context and we prepare students mentally to start the new learning. So this system ensures students begin each session ready to engage with new concepts and activate their prior knowledge from the previous sessions. Now, for example, here, if we take like the lesson of verbal communication patterns across cultures, for example, the objectives have been stated and there was like three-question multiple choice quiz. And we also talked about the previous session and how we can link it and use it in this session. Now, the second system is called the learning system, which is basically the core delivery of content. So here, students will get to know key definitions and concepts, theoretical frameworks, real-world examples, and practice the learned information or the delivered input. So here, for example, for the lesson of for session 6, sorry, of verbal communication, students will explore in details high context versus low context communication with visual comparison matrix. And then they will know and understand and apply afterwards here in the hands-on activities. They will apply what they have learned about Hall's contextual communication framework. And here they will have like an example, like case study. So this learning system represents the core content delivery phase, where theoretical knowledge is systematically presented and immediately reinforced through practical application. Now, moving to the last system in lesson design or lesson planning, which is the exit system. So here, students do more activities and they have this assessment. So the purpose of this exit system is that students will have to solve real-life challenge scenarios that demand application of learning, and they will be assessed on conceptual understanding and skill development. So the exit system bridges academic learning with professional skills. So for example, an example from session 6 would be the international conference call crisis scenario that requires students to apply Hall's framework to redesign communication protocols. So they will have to use the language, the knowledge learned, especially Hall's framework, for example, to solve a specific real life scenario. Okay, so now why this pattern is very likely to be of a positive influence. Just because it is there is a predictable quality. So every session follows the same three-system approach, which creates a reliable learning environment that builds students' confidence through consistent structure. So students know the structure, so they get accustomed to this structure, and they will focus more now on the content. So also it provides progressive challenge. So each session increases in complexity while maintaining familiar structural elements. So here, as I said, students would focus on the content rather than process, besides competence building and professional preparation. Now let's talk a little bit about the final examination structure. So the exam is going to be a comprehensive 90 minutes examination. It comprises like 100% of the final grade, 20 over 20. There is no formative assessment grade. And it features critical thinking activities rather than essay format. So there will be many activities which tackle different aspects. Now, The assessment activities. So what will be included here? Cultural framework application. So there will be a framework that they will have to apply for a certain scenario or a problem. Communication problem solving, and we have also case study analysis. So the focus area here encompasses content from all 4 units, like culture, like all the 4 units, emphasizes practical application over rote memorization, and also it demonstrates the competence, professional competence or academic competence. What matters here is that students need to show critical thinking ability. Now, thank you very much for your attention. We appreciate the dedicated participation in this module. Hopefully, this presentation has given you some grasp of the module's content. Thank you very much.